Welcome to the Florida Trail Runners Podcast. Out in the woods, out in the swamps, down by the Willie Gucci. It started with a podcast, now it's a thing. The Florida Trail Runners. Florida Trail Runners.
All right, here we are with episode 131 of the Florida Trail Runners Podcast. And on the chat, we've got John Baughman and his Big Scrub 150 journey. Also joining the chat, we've got Chris Merling, Mark Gilman, and race director Joe Miller. And you know, John has completed an incredible list of races, like over 1,000 miles in ultra sign up. And to make it even crazier, he's done it barefoot. So, hey, with that, let's kick it off as we ramble on with John, Chris, Mark, and Joe, the Big Scrub.
Orlando, Day City, Green Swamp, headed down south, headed to the Keys, Lake to Ocean, Miami, out to the East Coast, Daytona, Jacksonville, Pioneer Trail, on a single trail, running 1 to 100 miles, 8 station to 8 station, all around. The Florida Trail Runner.
Hey!
How you doing, Joe?
Hey, John.
Joseph Fuller. Every time you start one of your podcasts and you go, hey, you know, I always think of, what was his name? I think his name was Steve on Loveland's episode that was like, all right, everybody, we're going to run. And she's going to run a really long way. I listened to that thing like 3 or 4 times before I went into my Across Florida.
That was a long time ago. Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, you took a pretty good break from the podcasting, didn't you?
Yeah, like a 2-3 year hiatus.
I've been trying to update it for 3 years, and it finally popped up a month or 2 ago.
Mark, I tell him all the time, you know, if it wasn't for his podcast, I would still be going to Illinois and to, you know, Minnesota and things like that for races. His podcast is what drew me into the Florida ultra scene.
Oh yeah, me too. It was. I mean, like after I ran my first one, I'm like, oh, let's Google ultra running and like Florida trail runners. I'm like, what the heck? There's stuff here.
Hey, Chris.
Hello.
Hey, Chris, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well, Mark. Good to hear from you, buddy.
You too, man.
Yeah, I mean, guys, how are y'all doing? You know, from the Big Scrub 150.
Good, yeah. So this is John. I recovered well, and I actually went on a run, you know, Monday after, and then I rested on Tuesday and ran again on Wednesday. And I'll tell you, the Wednesday run was way worse than the Monday run. It's like I don't know what happened, but yeah. So last week I just ran every other day and took it real easy. But then this week I'm, kind of trying to get back in the saddle again. My feet are beat up, but other than that, it's fine.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
It looked like you had black soles on the whole time, even you didn't have your sandals on.
Dirty feet.
Oh man, I don't know how you do it, but it was amazing.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm still exhausted. I don't know. It was well worth it, is all I can say.
Well, I probably got more sleep than you did, Chris.
I know that to be true because I had to wake you up. Hey, Mark, I can join you in the car if you want to get some really good sleep.
I will never get a good night's sleep with you. We'll save that for later.
Oh, I got to hear that story.
Oh, man.
Oh, there's a few of them from that weekend, that's for sure.
Oh, we checked all the bingo boxes, let me tell you.
I was hoping that Tommy would be available, but he's working tonight.
Oh, he's a great kid, man. He was a big part of it, that's for sure.
Oh, man. Yeah, I kept saying it. We wouldn't have made it. I needed the extra set of hands, and he needed, whatever I brought to the table at that point in time. But yeah, gosh, it was fun. It was great having another set of hands. He was hilarious.
He was Tommy on the spot, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I saw that Ebo guy was out there too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah, he was really cool.
And Aaron, geez, Aaron took the brunt of the itch course.
Oh my gosh. And we were not moving quickly either.
He showed up at the perfect time for me. I'm like, oh, sure, go ahead, take over. You got this.
Yeah.
You go take all the sun.
Oh my gosh, that was a rough spot he was in.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
When I saw the
southbound
picture,
trail is tough. It's just rough.
when I saw the picture and I saw Ebo was mentioned in there, I was like, oh, he must have talked to Joe Miller at Skunk Ape.
Yep.
He did, yeah, it's cool. He talked to Joe, and then Joe introduced him to me at Skunk Ape, and we talked, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 minutes or something. Said he was interested, so yeah. He was totally different guy than I thought he was going to be, though. When I met him at Skunk Ape, he was really, kind of reserved and quiet, but then we got him on trail, and he was like a really cool guy.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put a blanket statement out there. I don't think there was a person out there that I wasn't already familiar with that I didn't meet that wasn't an awesome human.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a really cool lineup of guys that showed up, guys and gal. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. He was an awesome guy. All those guys, so fun.
Well, that's always the best part of the trail anyway.
Yeah, because really I knew nobody but you, John. I mean, that I
Really?
had in my contacts. I mean, first time I met Chris, and of course Tommy, and then Ebo, I did meet Aaron the week before or 2 weeks before at Skunk Ape. We ran a little bit together. He was doing the 100 mostly with Jamie, and me and Jenny and he's from my hometown of Crystal River. So we were really, I mean, only like 4 years apart in school and grew up in the same town. So we had a lot in common. And then talking to him again, he was super cool, and he was ready to go, man. I think if he didn't have to get back, he would have just kept going and going. But yeah, and then never met Stacy.
Really?
Yeah. No, I mean, I've seen all these people and you see them, but you go to these races and everybody's there and you know everybody's name, or you see them on ultras. I mean, our little list of the names that are on our text is like an Florida ultra sign up race. I mean, it was Scott Hoover and Aaron and everybody. It was cool, but yeah, it was nice to get to talk to all those guys.
Chris Prado gave us his first
Prado.
run in 8 months.
Yeah,
Crazy. Goes out and
Yeah.
busts out 16 miles or something. So how many miles did you put in, Mark?
I think I got 36 total.
Well, it wasn't quite the 75 that I forecast, but
No,
pretty good.
No, Aaron jumped in, and then I mean, when I started, we were heading to Rodman Dam. Well, we had like 12 miles to Rodman Dam, and Ebo showed up at the same time, so we both jumped in with you.
Yeah.
And we were cruising. It was like, it's like you just started, and then it got dark, and we turned around, and then we had a little hiccup. That's not my story to tell, but
I guess before we get too far into all of the stories, but I mean, we should probably do some kind of introduction. I know, John, you've been on before, and then you guys, the crew perspective for this one, but I guess for all of y'all, like, how did you get into trail and ultra?
Why don't you guys go first?
Yeah. So I got into the trail and ultra community a few years back when I got sober. And I basically went from being a portly fella at about 260 and decided I was going to lose some weight and start training for something. And long haul 100 popped up on the radar. So just kind of made that a 2-year mission, and it ended up being the mud year. And Big Joe Miller ended up actually pulling the camper that I had rented. Oh man, I knew nothing about what I was doing. But Joe Miller pulled that camper out, and that's how I met Joe. And then kind of the rest is history. And then a few weeks after that long haul was the first 2 prairies, which is actually where I met John Baughman when I got lost on course. And then he passed me as he was telling me I was off course to go on and win. Outside of that, just been bouncing around, running all your races, Fuller and Andy and Amy, and kind of bouncing around and meeting all these crazy people and doing fun stuff.
And Chris is also earning a reputation as a hell of a crew chief.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'll take it. Don't spread that rumor too wide. I would also like to
don't worry,
run
nobody
some
listens
things.
to this podcast anyways.
But no, it's fun. It gives a whole different perspective to the ultra experience, being on the other side of it and kind of having somebody else's hard work kind of in your hands. So it's fun. You learn a lot, and it's been a blast, and I can't wait to make these guys work for me in a few months.
That's right. Yeah. Well, this is Mark. let's see, a few years ago, I wanted to, I've been running for about 20 years really, but nothing crazy, half marathons, 5Ks, 10Ks, but just always been running. And when I was in 2022, I was going to turn 50 and I decided I wanted to run the 50 miler. And the only race I ever heard of, ultra race I ever heard of, was the Keys and Badwater. I didn't even know there was all this other stuff. So I've been going to the Keys for years. I knew they had that 100 mile. I said, well, man, I'll just run the 50 miler for my 50. So I trained for like a year, ran the Clearwater 50K in January of 2022, and then did Keys 50 in 2022, and just killed it. My best friends, we went down for the week. My best friends crewed me. My wife paced me at the end. I got a quarter mile to the finish and was like second male, and I collapsed. I just sat down and had heat exhaustion and didn't know what was going on. And I sat there for an hour. And the medical director, Barry, came out, and all my crew and everybody's freaking out because I didn't even know my name. And but I was fine. An hour later, I got up, they iced me down. I walked to the finish an hour after I collapsed and sat down, and I was pissed. I was so mad.
Oh, like
So
10 people passed by you.
only 10 people passed by. Yeah. Well, I was cruising. I was surprised, but I was just so mad. I was like, God, I was so close. And my problem was I knew nothing about nutrition. I mean, I tried to do tailwind and it was so hot. I just drank water the whole time, and I was just depleted of electrolytes. And but I was fine, finished, but I'm like, I got to go back. And I was so mad. And I found the PTC. I'm like, I finally learned of ultra sign up, and I'm like, holy cow, look at all these races. And the next one, a few months later, was PTC in 2022. And I said, that's it. It was free. I signed up, didn't even tell Jenny. I was like, I'm going back. I got to do something for redemption. And I did really good there. And then I was just hooked. And so I've been running every race I ever can since then. I don't know how many, but I've done, multiple ultras. But this was, I got the crew, Iosa a little bit for his big scrub a few months ago. And then I got to ride with John and we talked about it. And I was like psyched just to come back out and help him. Cause like I said, this is on my radar too. So, but it was a blast.
Well, this is John. Everyone's heard my story. I've told it a couple of times on a couple of podcasts, but the bottom line was I was a high school and college runner and injured all the time. And, then at 36 decided to run again and tried to find a way to run without injury, and in a roundabout way found barefoot running and barefoot shoes and sandals and that kind of stuff, and started doing that. And then somebody asked me if I had read the book, and I said, well, what's the book? The book is Born to Run. And I hadn't read the book yet, but when I did, Born to Run made me want to run 50 miles. So I started running again in July of, I think it was 2013, and I ran my first 50 in April of 2014. And I had to go down the hills backwards the last 20 or so miles because my IT band was so terrible. It was not a great experience, but I got the finish.
Which, I didn't print out your ultra sign up because I think I did that for the Jeff Iosa Big Scrub chat. But I do know from your ultra sign up, I think it's 33 races that you've done, because you've done Arkansas Traveler 3 times, 2 Prairies 3 times, and then for your 100 miles, let's see, in the 50K, you have a total of 93 miles. 50 milers, you've done 250 miles. 100Ks, you've got just one there, 62. 100 miles, 1,000 miles, plus 150, and 200 miles.
Cool.
And if you add all that up, that is a lot of miles.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I didn't even know you could do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I kind of get loyal. I fall in love with these races and I go back. So like Arkansas, I've done several times. Long haul, I've done several times. Potawatomi, I went back to over and over when I was in Illinois. Big 2 Prairies I've been to each year, and we'll probably keep going until Papa Joe says that I'm not welcome anymore, and then and then he'll make me work.
Well, let's not forget that Mark did sign up for 2 Prairies last year and didn't show up.
Oh,
Oh
Hey,
boy.
listen, That was my I emailed Joe that I couldn't come. I didn't know you had to go on Ultra Sign Up and unregister. So that was definitely my bad. Yeah, it's my only DNS, and I apologize.
Yeah, he got so mad he jumped out of the chat.
He said, "Oh, I'm not getting on with this DNSer."
Both are exciting races. This year I also took on the Tick, which we just had last weekend, and so that is now 3 races that cover the eastern corridor of the Florida Trail through the Ocala National Forest, or some section of it. And so they're all really fun races. They're all really hot races. They're all really remote races. It's just some of the best trail in Florida out there in those sections. A lot of bear, a lot of wildlife, and it's
There
really
are no bears. There are no bears.
Yeah, it's really remote out there, and so we're actually going to be doing a group run out there in a couple weeks at Farrell's Prairie, which during the Tick we had a couple of bear sightings out there, and they just actually had a big fire out there this past a couple days ago. A Jeep, apparently, I didn't know about
Oh,
this.
yeah.
Jeep went off road into the prairie and got stuck in the mud, and the exhaust on the Jeep caught the dry grass on fire. Not a big fire, about a half acre is what the article said, but we'll get to go out there and see some of that here in about 2 weeks. It's really
There was a pregnant woman that got lost out there in a family like a week ago too. Did you see that, or somewhere on the
Yeah,
trail?
they were out in Juniper Prairie. They weren't lost. They just didn't take enough water. Apparently, they got,
Oh, jeez.
I mean, that's my understanding is that maybe they did get lost, but they were definitely dehydrated and had to send emergency responders. Those areas, it is a wildlife wilderness area. I'm a designated wilderness area, very remote, and but it's also what makes those trails really cool to run in. Just because there's not a whole lot of areas like that left, and especially in Florida. So it's really neat to run through there.
I love Juniper Prairie.
I couldn't help but just leave the pause there.
I'm the only one, right?
No one
the
else
only one.
loves Juniper Prairie.
Oh man.
Yeah, people do tend to love Juniper Prairie. The one they really hate. I have 3 prairies out there. You got Farrell's, Juniper, and Hopkins prairies. And Hopkins prairies is the one that everyone loves to hate. It follows the edge of an old lake bed, which is truly a prairie. It's like a savanna out there. And there's some sand along the trail, and it doesn't matter whether it's 50 degrees or 90 degrees. It's exposed to the sun, and it just feels hot. It doesn't matter the temperature. And almost all of these races, well, not all of them, not almost, but all of them actually usually hit Hopkins Prairie midday when runners are so, yeah, it definitely makes for an interesting running event when you're running across Hopkins Prairie.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the interesting part too, because I know for all of y'all, I mean, you guys have been out there multiple times, even for different races. And I guess, coming into this, I know John knows this area very well from crewing, pacing, running, racing, helping people with the across Florida and all sorts of different things. But John, like with all of that, you've ran this area so many times. Why go for the big scrub 150?
Yeah, having crewed Jeff across it here, I don't know, a month or 2 ago, and just everybody came together. It was a huge trail party. Bringing him across the finish line, and just love all of these trails so much. Plus, Joe told me that he wouldn't let me run it the other way if I don't run it this way first. So so I had to run it this way if I want to go eastbound, which I do. I want to go eastbound on this trail. But no, yeah, I mean these really are of all of the trails in all of Florida. That eastern side, and then also, say Pruitt to Marshall Swamp are my favorite trails in the whole state. And that is saying something. Tallahassee has some pretty incredible trails too, but those 2 sections they're just awesome.
Yeah, I mean, where you start for the big scrub is the original start of the Florida Trail.
Yeah, I would love to see that place in daylight. I've never seen it before like 4 a.m. or after like 4 a.m. So
Well, Chris, you've got this on your schedule to run, so maybe you should start at like noon or something so that you can see it all.
no, you're out of your mind. I think I'm starting in the nighttime. I think I'm gonna go like 8 or 9 p.m.
You get all those prairies out the way during the dark, huh?
That is the thought. I've seen it enough now. I'm kind of getting for the slow people out there. I'm trying to get the lay of the land. You know what I mean? So I don't want to get cooked.
You know what? That is the good point. I feel like everybody has started either like early in the morning. No one's ever taken the overnight from jump.
See, I've been thinking about that a little bit.
Yeah, but oh man, your circadian rhythm would be all screwed up, Chris. Unless you just go to sleeping during the day and running and working at night.
I mean, it's going to be the end of July. It's going to be real hot, so I figure sleep won't be that hard to come by. And
There you go.
I have young kids, so the rhythm's all messed up anyway. Um, you know, just try and dodge the heat as much as possible and get through the prairies while it's still dark. And that would be, I mean, I've seen you come out of there sizzling. I watched little Joe Miller come out of there sizzling. So, maybe, who knows?
And I know for the big scrub, obviously the only way to be able to run the big scrub, and I know, Joe, you could probably jump in and talk about this a little more, but you've got to help someone either by pacing or crewing to even be able to get the invite to run it.
Yeah, I mean, everyone on this call right now, has done that, has either come out to crew. That's how everyone got into this race, is by helping each other. And so it's really this particular race, besides just giving you something really cool to do, something that's hard, something that's long. A big part of this race is community. This race, the flavor of this race is to echo what we have all across the Florida ultra running scene, which is just a big community of supportive ultra runners. And so lots of people have become friends running these trails, and they support each other and taking on hard things. And really, that's what this race to me is all about, is more about the community. We've got a runner that's going to be doing it next weekend, and he reached out to me and we talked about, getting him some crew. And I said, well, listen, I've already had a few people that really want to run this race and really looking for someone to support. And let's reach out to these people and let them know that you're going to be available if they want to do it. And it's also kind of a gift, because I mean, the runner, they don't necessarily know these people, and they're letting them come out and be a part of this hard thing and really getting to meet them through this process, which just makes it a really interesting race. So for those that aren't aware, we've talked about this a couple times on the pod, but the way you get into this race is by volunteering. You don't get an invitation unless you have volunteered your time to crew or pace or support someone in this race. So if you want to do it, it's a very minimal effort. I'm not asking for any specific piece of time. I'm not saying you had to do 20 hours or anything like that. It just needs to be impactful. It needs to be enough time to where it actually impacts the runner. And so far, it's worked out exactly like I want it to. And here we are right now with, 5 of us that are all, tied to this race and all have relationships with each other because of it.
And that's what I thought was interesting because, like, obviously earlier we mentioned, like, all these different people, like, just jumping in. And I mean, kind of with that, John, I mean, how did you end up picking up such a massive crew and pacers? Like, did you have people randomly reach out?
Yeah, a couple did, but I mean, I put out on the website or on the on the Facebook group that quit it, Chris, that we that we were going to be going and what weekend we were going, and if anybody was interested in hopping in and crewing or pacing. And then apparently I told Chris that he was going to be my crew chief, and I don't remember doing that, but I just didn't really ask him. I just informed him that he was coming. So there was that. But yeah, a handful of people reached out, and then also, we met some people at Skunk Ape, like Ebo was wanting to to get into this race, and so he came out, and then Aaron was wanting to explore this race also, and so he came out, and it running with at least two people that I didn't really know, it really brought a freshness to that time period that I was pacing with those guys too.
Yeah, I mean, Chris and Mark, I mean, what did you guys do? How, kind of your roles for the crew?
Well, I mean, I'll just kind of jump in here real quick and say that you informed my wife that I was going to be your crew chief.
Oh, there you go.
Actually, I believe you asked her, and then and I was informed by both of you that that was happening. So, but yeah, no, and totally fine. It was a blast and an honor to be a part of this whole thing. John and I have a long relationship, I guess, as long as I have in this running community. But yeah, I mean, he kind of put it on me as basically once we have the list sort of compiled, I don't want to think again. So that we kind of had a one-off chat, just the two of us, and then everything else went to a chat without John in it, and we just kind of lined everything up. And then Mark was kind of my get out of jail free card because, as John so eloquently put it to us, oh, this is Mark, he's good for 75 wherever you need him. So that was really nice to have in my back pocket. And he showed up with a car and the ability to kind of let some people sleep and hopscotch some cars and move some stuff around. And yeah, I mean, it's just kind of all orchestrated that way. And then Tommy got to drive, Big Blue and keep that train rolling. So really it was just logistics across the board and managing some personalities and making sure everybody was fed. And overall, it was a lot of fun. I think it's way more stressful on this side than it is just having to go run. I mean, it hurts a lot. It hurts a lot less, but it is way more stressful. But yeah, this race is so fun. I mean, it's so fun, and you meet some really cool people, and there's a lot of trust in that. You're in the middle of the woods, where locksmiths do go, by the way. But you have a lot going on. You're in the middle of the woods. You're trying to manage a lot of things, and then you've got new people coming into the fold. So it's nerve-wracking on both sides, I feel like, but it's been a testament to the community, the way it's gone thus far, the things that I've been a part of. And I'm excited to see kind of where it goes from here and everybody that's still yet to race it this year.
Yeah, I just wanted to be a part of it. I met John a year ago when I was doing the Skunk Ape 100 and my wife was doing the 50. Jenny was doing the 50. We were running together, and we passed John on the way in, and I see this guy running sandals, and I just heard his podcast or something. I said, "Hey, you're John." And he's like, "Yeah." And I said, "Hey, I'm Mark." And we talked for a second, and he was hurting a little bit, so we kept going. And he had we got to the end. I turned around and went back out for to finish the 100. And then I had that Skunk Ape 100 overnight can get tough. And I get to 200 aid station, and there's John after having a painful 50 miler at 2:00 in the morning, giving me quesadillas and cheeseburgers. And you're okay? You cheering me? I'm like, dude, we're like, what are you doing out here? And it really hit me, man. I was like, God, this guy's great. And I've talked to him at a couple other races, and then got to hang out with him when we got to pace Jeff. And when he talked about doing it, I said, buddy, I'm in with whatever you need, and I'll be there. And so that's what my goal was, whatever he needed. And I'm glad I got to do what I did. I got to run with him overnight Friday night and some Saturday and just help out and be a part of it. And it's nice, you don't really know him. You've only talked a few times or text or phone or message, but you see a guy struggling all night, and he's just, man, he just gives you a total respect for him, just push him through. And it was just so cool.
Mark got to see some dark spots, and he got to see some bright spots.
Man, you hung in there. And it was a tough night, Friday night and Saturday, but we went through some obstacles, and you did great, man. I was proud to be a part of it. It was inspiring.
I think you told me you were proud of me 3 or 4 times, and I was just like, man, that's so exciting to hear. It just feels so good to hear that from a peer,
Yeah, I was, man. I'm fired up. I still think about it. I'm like, I mean, I'm not really fired up to go out and do it right now, but I was fired up that night.
Well, I think that, that familiarity definitely helps, especially when you've paced and crewed. And I guess, kind of John with that, with your crew, plus how well you know this course and the surrounding area. I mean, I guess kind of what kind of perspective or advantage do you think that kind of gives you versus people who've never really been out there and seen those trails before?
It's an unfair advantage, quite frankly, because I enjoy those trails so much. I'm not intimidated by them. I've spent a lot of time in the woods alone, and they are remote trails. You are not near highways. You're not near roads. You're not near anything for a lot
Nothing.
of it.
Nothing.
And but I'm very comfortable with that. I enjoy that. I don't mind doing that alone. I don't mind doing that with a pacer. And so, that aspect of this race probably never even really entered into my mind. The fact that, it's kind of wild out there. It's just that I got to enjoy the trails that I enjoy for 150 miles. Well, I got to enjoy it for some of 150 miles, anyways. But also, there's just the knowing what's coming can be can be the other side of that coin too. And like we're going through Juniper and it's getting pretty hot. I mean, I know Hopkins Prairie is in front of me and it's already hot. So, just a little bit of that trail knowledge of what's coming. I mean, you could kind of pay a price for that too.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good point too, because I was going to ask you, were there parts of this course because you know it so well, that, like you knew that section is going to be super hard.
Yeah, you know what I was really intimidated by was turning west after we had finished the dam and come back to the 88 store essentially. That western turn was really intimidating to me because I went through that first 7 miles with Jeff on his Big Scrub 150, and there was a lot of tree fall and it was pretty rugged. And I had told myself that I'm going to be fresh and excited to go through there, but Gilman got me in that spot and I was not fresh nor excited to be there. And then, there was also another 15 or 20 miles of trail connecting between that and Marshall that I don't know. And it also happens to be some of the least used trail in the area. And so it was pretty hairy. And I was a little intimidated by that as far as, not knowing that section at all.
Yeah, and that's the section I thought I would run with you on. I mean, we got you to that spot that right when we woke up from our nap, and I knew that section to 40 because I ran it the itch last year, and it was overgrown. And like I said, and that's when Aaron showed up, and he's like, "I'm ready to go," and I'm like, "Oh, go right ahead." And because I knew what was coming, and I knew I'd said, man, and be careful, you might get lost this first section. You got to take a left, and
Guess what?
damn it if you guys kept going straight.
Yep, my head was down. I was not looking for orange blazes, and Aaron is a newer trail runner, and he was not looking for that stuff. And until we got off trail we probably went a quarter, and we were
You
just
didn't
like,
go
"Hey,"
far.
yeah, and then turned around and come back. But yeah, after that, he figured out real quick to keep his head up and help this delirious runner find those orange blazes.
Yeah, and that section is tough. That it's probably 13 miles or so to 40.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a good thing I went through there during the day. It would have been rough under headlamp light, with it as overgrown as it was, and not knowing that section.
I feel like that part, like that kind of stuff can be the challenge because it's not like a traditional course where you have pink flags with reflector every couple feet away.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some half orange blazes, and and I mean, there's a lot of those boardwalks and stuff, so you're on a trail. But yeah, it's rugged, but it's a fun. It's also one of the prettiest part of the courses too. So going through in the day, it's easier to go through, but it's also a lot to look at. It's beautiful.
Like Clearwater to the dam, I feel like I know pretty well. that, you know, at some point you just feel like, okay, well, I know it's coming up to turn right, and you remember it. But yeah, the section, that 20 or so mile section that I didn't know, it's a challenge the first time you go through something when you're looking for those blazes.
Yeah, and I guess kind of coming from a crewing perspective, you know, for the rest of y'all, I mean, did John really, you have a game plan, or how he wanted you guys to do it?
I mean, again, we're going to go back to the he didn't want to think principle. So it was really kind of get him through. He's so self-sufficient that you kind of have to insert yourself into his race a little bit forcefully. Otherwise, he's going to kind of ignore you and just go do his own thing. But yeah, I mean, once we got kind of in the rhythm of everything, you know, I don't know. I thought everything went really well. I thought the other than the animals taking his food, I thought we were on a really good run.
Well,
We
what
did have some time goals floated out there in terms of hopes and
Yeah.
possibilities, but nothing was set in stone, I would say. And we had kind of a clear understanding that if it was within reach, we were going to talk about it, and if it wasn't, it wasn't, and we were just going to move on with our lives. And I think John did a really good job of managing that side mentally and never letting that kind of get in the way of the bigger picture of just getting the 150 miles done. So yeah, I mean, all in all, it was so much fun. It was such a
what
great experience.
we did have that. Me and John did have that talk when we left the 88 store. I mean, it was after midnight Friday night, and we had like a 5 mile section to the next crossing where we see the guys, and it was that blown over area and spiders galore. And you know, from 1 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the morning, it was like, okay, this next stop, we got to make a decision, because if not, we got another 5 miles to go, and it's the same stuff. And he came to the smart decision, is like, you know, maybe we should eat and rest for a couple hours, and then hit that next spot, start right before daylight, which is exactly what we did. Took a couple hour nap, got up at 5, started running a pretty good spot, and then when the sun came up, we had a pretty good 10 miles there until we caught up with Aaron, and he took over to that rough section.
So the original plan was go out and run 100 miles and have fun doing it, and then talk about the time at that point. But we didn't even make it to 100.
You made it to 88, buddy. You 88 miles. That's 88% of it. That's pretty good.
Now, I mean, all right. Well, so what's the story with the animals?
All right, let me tell you. So this is where we started to take our nap, and we're somewhere in the Ocala forest, and this is where me and John get out. It's like 3 a.m. This is like where we're going to take our nap. But Tommy and Chris had everything out. We're going to eat real quick, jump in the back of the trucks, take a nap. So we did. We ate, and as soon as we said we were taking a nap, I got in my passenger seat. I didn't eat and just crashed. And then Chris got in my truck in the driver's side, and he crashed. And we did. We tried to sleep. I'm not going to tell.
You can do it. Go ahead, Mark. It's fine. I already had the conversation with my
Chris,
wife.
did you see that sleep doctor yet? Because I was still worried about you, brother. I rested my eyes for 2 hours. Chris got a good sleep. I could tell from the sound of him. And I look over, and he's got my seat reclined, but he's hunched over the steering wheel, snoring, sleeping with his head almost on the steering wheel. I'm like, why do you got the seat reclined if you're not even laying down? But he was out. So everybody was tired. So we finally set the timer, and we get up, and we get out of the truck, and there's just foods, cheeseburgers, Pringles, everything strewn all over the ground. And like something got in there. We're thinking something got into the coolers and took like a bear, got all the food. And I don't think that was the case, was it? We decided, John.
Yeah, yeah. I think that somebody identified that the handles on the cooler had been locked back down, and so unless it was the most polite raccoons or bears in the world, the food probably didn't quite make it back into the cooler before everybody crashed.
Hey,
Yeah.
we're gonna go with polite bears because the bears don't exist. So there,
Okay.
problem solved.
Well,
Yeah, that's probably the case. I think we were all delirious at that point. And that was post rain as well. So then everything's wet and you're just miserable. But yeah,
But we all got some kind of sleep, and it did help.
yeah, I slept great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And almost would have liked to have slept a little more. I slept so good. Tommy said it's time to get up, and I said, no, it's not. So Tommy is my son, in case we didn't say that. Tommy is my son, and my son would like to do this race. He'd like to do it more a little slower, like almost at a backpacking pace, but he knew that he needed to cruise someone, and hey, who's better than dad? So but yeah, no, he said it's time to get up, and I'm like, I don't really think it's time to get up.
Oh
Well, I mean,
man.
sleep is super important. Do you have a game plan for sleep?
That was the game plan. That was exactly the game plan, I think, wasn't it, Chris? Was to
Yeah.
get to about 2 hours before sunrise, sleep 2 hours, and then get up with the sun and go.
Yeah, and we were aiming to get to the 100-mile mark right about
Yeah.
2:30 and go 2:30 to 4:30 ish.
Yeah, but it just didn't happen.
It just didn't happen, and
Yeah.
that's where I commend you on being realistic in the moment and in totality. You just kind of looked at it very appropriately and got some rest, which was needed. And I do think we could have slept a little bit longer, but we stuck to the plan, and
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I guess kind of jumping into the course. So, you start at Clearwater Lake, the OG start of the Florida Trail, and then you make your way through Farrell's Prairie, Juniper Prairie, Hopkins Prairie, as we mentioned before. And then you make your way to the east and west split of the Florida Trail. And that's like 52 miles of this course. Take me into that first stretch. How did those miles go down?
Yeah. At the start, from the start, probably my first 15 miles, Chris, were pretty damn miserable. I was not happy, which is really unusual to start a run and not be in a great place. But it was humid. And so the glasses were fogging up. I couldn't see. I was wet. There were bugs. There were a lot of spiders. I ate a lot of spider web. I actually considered calling myself the Spider-Man. I was thinking that I was walking around in one of those little web suits, and I was just desperate to get to Highway 19 because I know that side of the trail so much better. And but just it just wasn't clicking off fast enough for me. And what I was doing at that point was I was running 3 minutes and walking 1 minute and trying to keep my heart rate under 140. And as the sun came up and it started getting warm, it got pretty challenging to keep my heart rate down. Yeah, I was just pretty cranky until I was cranky for a while.
You were.
Chris?
You just started off, I think, a little bit too in your head. I think you just kind of had too many thoughts going on, and then the extraneous factors kind of played with your head a little bit. But once you kind of got your heart rate issue on the watch situated, and then I came out and fell apart with you on the trail, that's kind of when you started having a little bit of fun, it felt like.
Yeah.
And then, then the pacers started kind of trickling in, and again, you said it, you got to the trails that you're way more familiar with, and it definitely showed in body language and all of it, and everything just started kind of ticking off cruise stop by cruise stop a lot more efficiently, a lot more of what I was expecting out the gate. But, it's 150 miles, so you kind of got to be prepared for anything and whatever the day is going to give you.
Well, Joe, I crossed the highway and got into that Farrell section, and I was still alone at that point, and I was feeling okay, but alone, and I run tremendously quiet because of the footwear, and I was running the trail down to Farrell's Lake. And if I was exaggerating, I would say 4 feet, but I ran up on the back of a black bear, no further away than 5 feet. And fortunately, he was facing away from me, but I scared him because he did not hear me coming. And I was right on top of him in the palmettos, right off the trail. And all I saw was this explosion of big black bear ass running away from me.
Oh, the text I got right after that was priceless.
Oh yeah. Well,
Oh, man.
what was it? It was interesting was I have never ran across one on the trail before. I've seen them from the cars, but I've never come across one on the trail before. And I was just happy that he wasn't facing toward me.
I still don't believe it happened. They don't exist.
Yes.
They're not out there.
Chris can't find a bear.
I've never seen a bear out there from a car, from the trail. I've spent a lot of time out there, and I've never seen a bear. So I don't believe you guys.
Well,
But
I don't know. Most of them are like, "Hey, boo boo bears." Well, no,
Yeah,
those are
that's-
Greenway. Those are the Greenway bears, not the Ocala National Forest bears.
Yeah, I was like, that was not the impression that I got from the text, the frantic, scared text from John. I got immediately following that. So, yeah.
But then got down to Farrell's and Joe, you would be interested to know I took a dump in the in the toilets down there. I know you love that. So
Yeah.
but we were eating and pooping a lot.
The amount that you ate, and I've said this to everybody I've talked to, the amount that you consumed during that experience was nothing short of astounding. I mean, it was
unreal.
It was unbelievable. And
Yeah.
you're a tiny human, and it was unbelievable.
I mean, bratwurst, hamburgers. I mean, he was eating. He was like hitting a drive-through every 8 stop.
Like every 6 miles, it was like 1,000 calories. I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
John, how you said you gained weight, correct? Following that,
Yeah. I
Yeah,
came
like-
out 8 pounds heavy.
yeah, like that's not mathing to me. But again, yeah, he ate well. He drank very well.
It wasn't lack of calories slowing him down. That's for sure.
No, I wasn't going to let that happen.
Oh my word, it was incredible.
But then, yeah, so Farrell's is where I switched from 3-1 to 1-1 and got you with me. And yeah, we started clicking off miles and feeling a lot better. Got up into Juniper, got to pull lots of ticks off of us. And then it started getting hot in Juniper.
Yeah. I fell apart. I don't think we realized how hot it actually had gotten that day either.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I had so much other stuff going on, and then kind of circling back to all of that once I was seated was, yeah, I was very happy you were eating and drinking as well as you were, but middle of the day through the prairies is brutal.
Then we got up into Hopkins, and I was alone through that section. And well, I shouldn't say I was alone. I had my horsefly buddies. They were with me the whole way, which I really appreciated. But that was one of those sections where I know there's this right turn up here to get me off of this sand. And nope, it's not around here. It's around the next cove. Nope, it's around the next cove. It's horrible. But yeah, I was happy to get out of Hopkins. And then who did we pick up after Hopkins? Maybe it was just Chris. Did you hop back in with me again?
I might have.
Yeah.
I know when I saw you guys after Hopkins, it was near the 88 store, and Chris had been with you for a while.
Yeah, because that's when it started raining again. Because that's when we had pizza for you, right?
Before we got to the 88 store, yeah, we had
Coming
pizza
out of the
there.
prairies, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's right. I jumped back in with you there.
And so with the sandals, with the rain on me, my feet started getting wet and hot at the same time. And so, I've got more foot damage than I've had in a race in years coming out of this thing. I'm going to lose 2 toenails, which is weird. And I had some pretty aggressive blisters between the toes where that toe thong goes through there. But it just seemed like everywhere we went, there was a big rain cloud on top of us for the next several hours.
Yeah, because I know that next section that takes you out to the Rodman Dam, and then you do that out and back. And I know to Rodman Dam is around 66-ish miles, and then when you come back to the split, it's around 79, 80 miles. How'd that out and back section go?
Yeah, we were doing really well there. That's where I picked up Mark and Ebo, and Mark was saying that we were moving well in that section. Still wet feet. There was a good amount of blowdown right after the 88 store that Ebo got to crawl through some trees with me. But Mark, what did you experience going up to the dam and turning around?
Oh, that was my first time on that trail. And remember, we had like an hour before dark, and that was like some of the prettiest land I've ever seen. I thought it was awesome. I'm like, it was great. And then even when it got dark, we were only like a half hour away from Rodman Dam when we put our headlamps on. We had a couple overgrown sections, but it was, the scariest part was running up to the Rodman Dam and all the tweakers on the side of the road and stuff, to get to touch the dam and turn around. But yeah, I thought that was awesome. And then coming back from Rodman Dam, we went back to where the cars were, and that's when we got a text. That was like another 6 miles. The cars were 6 miles from Rodman Dam by trail, so we were just a half a mile back to the cars to meet.
Oh.
And that's when we got the text that Tommy locked the keys in the car with all your food and aid. And we didn't know. We thought he was locked in at Rodman Dam, and we're coming up on that Delancey, right?
Lake Delancey,
yeah, Lake Delancey, and thinking, oh my God, nobody's here. And but no, they were there. That's where the car was locked, and that's where my truck was, which had aid, and Ebo's truck was, which had water and cooler. So we were fine. And then you and Ebo, we refilled with what we had, and we were waiting on a locksmith, which some miracle showed up not too long ago. You and Ebo took off towards the 88 store, which was another 4 or 5 miles, right? While we waited with Tommy, and Chris waited for the locksmith who showed up and pulls in around 10 o'clock at night and asking, what the hell are you guys doing out here?
Oh, he had so many questions. The fact that he was willing to come out there, I was, man.
Yeah.
And the only reason we were able to do that, sorry, tangent. I have a Wi-Fi or like a signal booster that I keep in the truck, and I keep it like charged because there's no signal out there. And that was on, but in the truck that was locked with the keys in it. So we're both standing, up against the truck with our phones against the glass, trying to call every locksmith that we can, trying to send text messages. That's the only signal we have. You walk away from it, the phone loses signal. You can't make a phone call. So we look like morons out in the middle of the woods, smashed up against the window. And we finally get this guy to come out, and we're standing there, same deal, to get the text or the call that he's actually coming, smashed up against it was interesting. But he showed up. And that guy
showed up and unlocked that car in 30 seconds.
Character.
And then, so that's what, and then we got back. So we all were able to load up and meet you back at the road crossing there, when right before you hit the 88 store, by 20, 30 minutes before you even got there. So it worked out. Okay. That didn't slow us down at all.
Well, that call came in. Mark, you had sent in my order, and I was really excited for a hamburger.
Yeah.
But you had sent in my order, and you said, "Yeah, none of that's going to happen, John." And I'm like, "Okay." And told me that the keys were locked in the car, and I said, I thought about it for, I don't know, probably 60 seconds, and I said, I have to make a decision to be okay with this.
Oh, you took it in stride. Well,
and I told Tommy, I go, it's only a problem if we don't have a solution. I said, so we're not telling anybody till we have a locksmith on the way. So we waited until we knew somebody was coming before we just waited for you to show up and be like, well,
but I'm not gonna lie, we were kind of panicking because we were thinking you guys were back at Rodman Dam.
Yeah.
And
which we didn't even think about that.
Because we just said, oh no, because last time we saw you, you had all the vehicles there. So we were panicking for about 30 seconds, and we saw you. I was like, oh no, they're up here. And then we're like, they locked it up here.
Mm-hmm. This is way better situation.
Yeah, this is a way better bad idea. Bad idea.
Yeah, for sure. Then again, at Rodman Dam, I bet we could have found somebody that could have popped that lock on the dam. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
One of the crackheads could do it.
I'm saying it would have been 30 seconds, $50, done.
It probably would have been cheaper.
For sure.
Oh, you just give him a beer and he's good to go.
And then Evo and I got to go together, and he's a really cool guy, and got to spend some good time with him. I hope that he does this thing so that I can come out and return the favor for him sometime. He was texting his wife, and we were joking around about how she was going to have to check him for ticks. And he, at the end of it, he says, "Oh, and you're going to have to check me for ticks." And he says, "Watch this, 30 seconds, and I'm going to get an eye roll emoji." Oh gosh.
And he even popped back up on the trail in between Baseline and Santos to cheer us on.
Yeah.
Because he lived right there off of that. And like we're walking, and this guy all cleaned up, walking down the trail, and it's Ebo coming out there. Hey.
Like 60 miles later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
12, yeah, a good 12 hours later. He looked a lot fresher than last time we saw him.
Well, you got to go home, shower, and sleep.
Oh,
and
yeah.
eat
I
some
think he had a
real food.
basketball. He went to a kid's basketball tournament or something. Who knows? He lived a whole life while we were out there suffering.
And I mean, after all of that, take me into 100 miles, because I feel like once you hit that 100-mile distance, and that's a distance like a lot of people, maybe not a lot of people, but most of people can kind of relate to. It's the Florida Trail. You got Eaton Creek and a few other places, and then you end up at the Ben's Hitching Post Campground. Take me into 100 miles. How did that go down?
Yeah. So that section there, after we woke up and got going again, that's where Aaron was with me, and Aaron's uh a newer trail runner, but a very experienced runner, and he had some awesome stories about where he came from as a very, like, a highly competitive, I believe even sponsored triathlete. So we were going through some of the most rugged parts of the trail. We were not moving quickly. I mean, the boardwalks were covered by palmetto leaves. The trail was covered by palmettos, growing from both sides of the trail. You had to move the palmettos to see where the trail was. And there were a couple of times I said to him, this looks like a perfect spot to hide a water moccasin. And fortunately, we did not find said water moccasin on that run. But yeah, no, it was pretty rugged in there. And then we got to Tom's Hitching Post and had good food there. From what I recall, Chris. And did he stick with? He stuck with me a little further after that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. He took you all the way to Marshall Swamp, and he wanted to go some more. So he went to from Marshall. He would take you all the way to Baseline.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
I was in his truck all the way to Baseline.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you picked up Stacy at Marshall Swamp too.
Yeah.
That's a,
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Because that's right.
So at 100 miles, in something like this, Joe, it shows up on your watch, and it's just like, okay, so what? It's 100 miles. So I mean, I kind of feel like that's how I took it, but maybe Aaron will tell a different story. Maybe I did a backflip whenever I hit 100. I don't remember.
Or climbed a tree.
No, I climbed a tree later.
Well, I mean, that kind of leads in, because obviously after that I'd say it's one of my favorite sections, the Marshall Swamp.
Yeah.
What's it like going through the Marshall Swamp?
My perspective on Marshall Swamp is it is wild. It is like the first time I was in there, I felt like it was Vietnam. It's so jungly in there. It's unbelievable. It's dry right now, but when you're in there when it's wet, it's oh my gosh, it's a jungle, and it's a sweltering jungle too, but just a beautiful place to run some miles. And so yeah, at Marshall, I got to put on fresh clothes, and Aaron went on with me, and Stacy Miller hopped in with us too. And at that point, coming out of that kind of rough section, I was still pretty much just power hiking and not ready to run very much. And but I did get to enjoy um uh Marshall Swamp, headed down to Baseline. I was in a pretty rough spot coming into Baseline. I imagine yeah, I think I needed food, more food. Maybe I just needed to be done with the thing, but yeah, I was in a pretty rough spot at that point. Did you come up the trail, Chris, and join us for some of that?
Yeah, I came up a ways. I think I crossed the paved path maybe by like a half mile.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause then it
And they
started raining again.
again. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just, yeah. That, I mean, that was a tough spot to be in. That mileage, kind of where you were with your feet and the fact that it was wet again was just kind of, it was an added blow.
Oh yeah. On fresh
But
clothes. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it was just tough. And being hot and then wet and then hot and then, all that,
Yeah.
was tough. But I think that's kind of where, and I don't know what it was, but something in that parking lot, I feel like reignited something in your brain about, and I guess it was just getting it done, but you got some kind of fire in you, man, and you got moving again, and it was on.
Well, I picked him up again at baseline,
Right.
and it took a couple miles to get his groove on.
Yeah.
You were pretty in your feels a little bit there. And me and Stacy kept going, and Stacy was leading. And I'm like, "Do you want to move a little bit?" He goes, "No, I'm moving as fast as I want to move." I said, "Okay, we're good. Let's go." And then, but we kept going. You kept moving, and Stacy me and Stacy were like, I was like, "Okay, let's just try to walk as fast as we can." We were in front of you just to keep them moving as fast as we can, and we were probably walking a 17-minute mile or something. And then we got about a mile in, and I turn around and I was gonna say, "Hey John, let's run for 30 seconds and then walk for 2 minutes." And then when I turned around to say that, he said, "Hey Mark, let's run for 30." I said, "Yeah." We were thinking the exact same thing, and you were back, and we did. We ran 30 seconds and we walked 90 seconds, but we were clipping off back down to like 15-minute miles, and we kind of did that all the way through, and then that paved section around the corner coming up to you felt a lot better coming into Santos.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Got to start running again.
yeah, and
Yeah.
Santos is just magical. I feel like there's so much good stuff that happens at that trailhead that getting there is just kind of I don't know, it's a spark. At least for me, I love Santos.
Yeah, and everybody was there. Scott Hoover showed up there, and then we got you some real food, and I think you were changing shoes again, because you knew we were going to hit the Santos to Land Bridge, and you liked that section, and you kind of reloaded and re-geared, and we took off pretty good from Santos to Land Bridge. You were moving great.
Yeah, because once you hit Santos, I think that's around 116 or so miles, which, yeah, you go from, I mean, that's the main part of I guess the most populous or used part of the Greenway.
Yeah.
Santos, Lambridge, 49th, State Route 200, and then to Pruitt, which is, I think, 139 or so miles in. Yeah, dude, like how'd that Greenway section go down?
So it went pretty good for most of it. Yeah. Mark, where did you leave me there? I
I
at Landbridge?
I got you to Land Bridge.
Yeah. And I was kind of tired at Landbridge, but ready to keep moving. That's where we picked up Chris and Scott Hoover, right?
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah. And yeah, got a good meal there again. Came in feeling good enough to spring over a table and worry my crew chief.
Oh, you're killing me, John.
But yeah, we took off running, and I feel like Santos until almost to 200th, we were in pretty good shape. I don't know exactly whether we were doing 1 minute or 1 minute again, but we were making decent time. I was running down hills. I was hiking up hills with aggression. Sometimes I was running on the flats, and Scott and Chris. It was a good time with those guys. It was new pacers and feeling pretty good. And got to go through the Shangri-La section, which is absolutely my favorite part of the whole dang thing. The new trail section.
Is that the Rock Garden?
Oh yeah, I just love it, Joe. It's just so beautiful down there. But yeah, I don't think we saw any bears, Chris, while we were down there though. So
I know you didn't because they're not there.
But then what? I guess getting to 200th, I was pretty down again.
Yeah, but 200's a magical place when
That
you know
is a good
people.
spot. That's a
I
good
mean,
spot.
and at that point, everybody under the sun, whatever, corner of the country they're in, was texting me, from Cocodona all the way to people right down the street from 200. And that's where Tyler and Jacqueline stepped in and whipped up some burgers and some tots for the vegan, and brought them out there with some fresh coffee. And we had like a 10-person impromptu 200 aid station party before they collected themselves and then headed out to Pruitt. But they were moving well enough that Tyler, and Tyler being prompt on everything he does, they beat Tyler when he told me he was 5 minutes away, and they should have been much further out. He comes tearing ass in there up to the stand, screeches on, hops out, runs over with food, and it was amazing. And very much appreciated, I can say, across the
Yeah,
board. I
they were
think
awesome
everybody,
burgers.
I was about to say, I think everybody concurred that they were some of the best burgers they had ever had. So
Yeah, I told Chris and Scott in the section right before we got to 200. I said, you know what? We got this far. I'm just gonna sleep the night at 200 and then finish this thing out tomorrow. Just screwing with them. And Chris wouldn't even talk to me about it. After 200th though, the Pruitt section was kind of rough on me. I went back to hiking, and it gets pretty hilly in that section. And Chris kept saying, "I swear this is the last one." Well, there were probably 3 after the last one. So, and we had some hunting dogs that were trailing us, and that was kind of fun too. But fortunately, I had 2 pacers there, so I wasn't really concerned about that. But
I mean, I think if you ask Chris, he would have some different words to use to describe that experience. But we can let him explain that later.
he wasn't as laid back about the dogs. Oh yeah, he called them devil dogs, didn't he?
Yeah, they scared the bejesus out of him, man. They came out of the dark and came
They
flying
did.
around the. Yeah, he was like, no, it was terrifying. So you were just delirious on like 140 miles into a race.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So got to Pruitt then. Oh, I put on shoes.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, we got to Pruitt and my feet were the blisters between my toes were so bad. I was like, you know what? Let's put shoes on because I know that, they're not in 10 miles, shoes are not going to wreck me. So we
That's such a
put on
ridiculous statement.
actual shoes. Yeah, but I had Scott with me and we got out on 484, and anytime my heart rate would go below 108, we would run 30 seconds. And so we moved pretty well actually across 484. It was late enough that the traffic wasn't so bad. Then you turn onto that crazy sand hill, and I hate to tell Iosa this, but it was not that bad for me. But at the very end, it looked really bad, so I took a picture of it and I texted it to him.
Because I mean, that's one of the big challenges, like right before you come into the finish.
Yeah, that it can be awful. It can be a mile and a half of sugar sand, and it can be really bad. If it's freshly disked up, it's going to be a bad experience. But it wasn't for me and Scott.
Yeah, I mean, take me into the finish.
Yeah.
How'd the final mile go?
Well, we Scott and I did the Denellen Trail, and then we had talked about my son and I going in to the finish together. And so Scott hopped out and Tommy and I hiked in that last mile together. So that was a cool experience. Tommy's an old cross country and track runner, not quite in the shape probably to go out on a 6 or 8 mile run with Dad at this point, but he could definitely hike that last mile and a half or so. And so, I got to ask him how his experience was. And, he told me he wanted to help more people do this, which, that's like music to Dad's ears. And, so we get up there and go around the corner and, just run in, tag the toilet. And that's the end of the race. I don't think anybody was clapping,
I think mentally I was clapping. I might not have
Yeah.
actually, the physical act might have not happened. I don't know.
There was no crowd. There was no adoring fans. I just don't understand.
Yeah, the most adoring fans you have were all on that sidewalk, man. Come on.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was
No,
awesome.
this one was in bed sleeping, so he was
I
dreaming of
think
you.
you earned that spot in that bed at that time, Mark. You earned every hug of that pillow.
Yeah, so Chris and I weren't sure exactly what to call Mark through this whole thing. Chris was calling him trail duct tape earlier on because anywhere he needed a repair, he would just throw Mark in.
I'm like, Mark will fix it. It's fine. Just throw him out there. He's good. It's great.
But yeah, so we get to the end there, and Chris hands me that belt buckle, and Papa Joe, it is a beautiful belt buckle. I appreciated how good looking it was before, but I'll tell you, when I got it home and I set it next to all of these other ones, it really shines, man. That thing it's a piece of art. And it really does outshine a lot of a lot of pretty big name races around it. So it's an awesome belt buckle. And I was blown away by it. And then everybody hugs and says, "Okay, that's it. Go home."
Yeah.
Typical end to an ultra marathon.
Yeah, it's like,
take all your wet, sweaty, smelly garbage, throw it in your truck, go sleep for a week, and go through. I just found John's watch charger. What, 2 days ago? I texted you.
I didn't even realize you found it. That's
No,
cool.
that's what I'm saying. I texted you, and you said I just bought more online.
Yeah.
And that was a week and a half after. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I was disappointed not to be able to be at the finish with you. I try to make an effort. I make a real big effort to try to meet every runner that finishes this race at the finish and present that belt buckle myself. And when I can't, I'll try to find someone that can do it for me. I don't want to mail buckles. It's just so impersonal. But happened to be that weekend. I had taken over the tick this year, the 57-mile run, right behind you in the Ocala National Forest, and we were finishing. I was pulling away from that race at about the same time you were finishing. And I got into Ocala right as you were, and I had about another hour to get to you, and you were finishing up. But I'm just super proud of you for getting out there and doing it. I know you had a little peer pressure to begin a little earlier than I think you anticipated, but you did freaking awesome on it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so I mean, you got to say, it was Mother's Day weekend. It was also the Tick weekend. So, I mean, I chose that weekend, and there's no expectation that Joe is going to make that when he's running a race. And then, like my wife and Chris's wife and, Mark's bride and everybody, there were dads all over the place, and Stacy on the day before Mother's Day out there, they're crewing us too. So, I mean, something has to be said for this community that let all these guys go play in the woods the day before Mother's Day and really bleeding into Mother's Day, because it was Sunday morning when we got done. So I appreciate all of those ladies.
Joke's on us. They just wanted the peace and quiet.
It's true.
Yeah, no, I left mine with 2 kids. So yeah, no, she really likes you, John. That's all I can say. But yeah, shout out to Emily for letting me go play in the woods. It was awesome. I appreciate it. And on Father's Day, I'll let you go play in the woods, I guess. I don't know.
See, my wife went out there and ran with you instead of being out there with me. So
Oh,
Yeah, she
man.
was, and she was critical too. I think, that section where we kind of came back to life, Mark. I think Stacy was critical in that whole thing. Bringing spirits up. So that was awesome to have her out there.
well,
It was great.
the both of us definitely consider all you guys, John especially, you coming over to our place and stuff, really close personal friends of ours. And it was a pleasure for her to be able to get out there and to support you, even, for the 10 miles that she was out there with you. I know she absolutely wanted to be there with you.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the great things with this event. It's not the flashy fanfare. It's just people coming together and having, I mean, all of the good stories that come out of this.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's about getting together and having a good time on the trail, and everybody getting to see a bear except for Chris. That's a good time.
Maybe.
John says it was a good time, but he did message me afterwards and tell me a few choice words about this course.
Well, I had to echo Iosa coming in with the F you, Joe Miller. It's tough. This course is tough. And I think that the I love all of that trail and everything, but this course is tough, and 150 miles of it, and especially in the heat and getting rained on, and all of that, over and over. I was humbled, by this 150-mile course, and so, yeah, I did have a word or two to say about how difficult it was.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it, Joe.
Yeah, I'll also echo that too. I think it's an awesome accomplishment to have a 150-mile race that's completely contained on the trail. From the runner perspective, I mean, that is such a cool experience. From a crewing perspective, it's kind of a pain in the ass. But the experience from the other side, I think, is going to be really, really special. To never have to leave the Florida Trail and go the whole way is going to be pretty cool. Pretty cool concept. It's very fun. Very happy to be a part of it. Thank you, John.
Oh, thank Joe. It was his idea.
I'll thank Joe with some choice words after I go in July.
There you go.
Yeah, and John, I guess we could do it for the crew too. We could wrap it up with the classic question of, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And for this go of the Big Scrub 150, what was the good, the bad, and the ugly?
Yeah, I would say, clearly the good was everybody coming together and helping out, and got to spend lots of time with cool people, and experience a lot of good trail. That's absolutely, the good. The bad, I guess the weather was kind of tough on me. I was actually surprised the next day when I was told how hot it had gotten. I didn't really realize it, and then it just seemed like there was a red spot of rain that would just follow us around and just dump on us, and so that doesn't help. Especially clothes and feet and that kind of stuff in a race like this. The ugly was probably when I stripped naked there at Lake Delancey, uh, right out on the road in front of everybody. I don't care, just hand me dry clothes. Really though, the ugly was, man, I'll tell you, I haven't had blisters the size of the blisters that I had between my toes. I haven't seen blisters like that in probably a decade on my feet. And yeah, they were pretty tough. One of them actually popped whenever I was running in the shoes. And then the second one, it hung around, and finally it just went away here a couple of days ago. But yeah, I haven't seen really nasty blisters in a long time, and they were nasty.
Yeah. Well said, John. Well said.
The ugly was definitely just your feet. Everything else was great.
That's just not very nice, Mark. I have very nice feet. They were just dirty.
Not that weekend, buddy. I'm sorry.
The good was, the same deal. I mean, the community. You just get to meet some cool people doing dumb things in some pretty special places. So that's always going to be the good. The bad, I would say, is from a crew perspective, the bad is just kind of the remoteness. Now I'm kind of getting a leg up on some non-local people figuring out where you can actually get things, food, supplies, ice, drinks, whatever. But that's tough, and you really have to kind of plan that out. So that's kind of the bad for that. And I'd say the ugly is animals robbing the food supply from the guy that needs the calories. Whether or not it was a bear, a raccoon, or the most polite animal on the planet is up for debate. But yeah, that was not ideal at the time because we were in one of those spots where we couldn't really replace the food very easily. So
It was also hilarious, though. I mean, we
I
got out
mean,
of the truck after sleeping, and it was just funny.
yeah, right after Mark tells me I've got sleep apnea, and then with food's missing, and it's just like my life is upside down right now. I don't know what just happened in the last minute, but yeah, yeah. There's just so much that can happen out there that could be the ugly, but yeah, I'd say the food. How about you,
Well,
Mark?
yeah, no, from my perspective, man, there was nothing bad. I mean, I just wanted to go out and pace. I just wanted to run with them. I love being out there too. I kind of knew the trails. I thought I could be a good help. And then just watching your buddy just gut it out. It really is. It's just fun to watch. Because this so stupid what we're doing. Um,
So
you
dumb.
know, adult men running through the woods at night, and it's just crazy to think about, but it's so much fun, and nobody, we all do it just for our own our own vanity or whatever reasons, because nobody cares except us. We all can appreciate his suffering, what he's going through, and we know what it's going to mean to him at the end, and just to help him get to the end in any way. It's all good. It's all good. And I will still say his feet are ugly.
Jeez.
So
So
I'm
no
proud of you,
bad, just
John. You did
John's
you
feet.
did you did great, buddy. I can't wait to help Chris and whoever else needs it too.
Oh, I look forward to it, Mark. You're the man.
I don't know how you're going to crew chief and run, but it's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I'm really excited about the direction of this race. I'm glad that people are enjoying it and suffering through it at the same time. It is a hard race, and if you want a hard race, this is it for you. I'm really excited about it. I would like to see, it's going to be tough to get this race to be more than a regional thing, just because in order to get an invitation, of course, you got to be out here on trail. And I don't know if someone's going to come from Colorado, California, out west somewhere to come and just do that to get an invitation to it. But it really highlights some of the best trails in Florida, and I'm really excited about that. It's really it's a tough race, and I guess that's probably the ugly part of it. People, we talked about the Across Florida, which kind of inspired this race to come into existence. And I think John said this one was harder on him. The 150 miles was harder on him than the 200-mile race. So, you got your own length of time. There's no cutoff for this race, but it's still, there's a lot of people racing this thing. And then I'm really excited for the support that we're getting for combat racing. We got the 8 hours of berm coming up here soon. Registration's open for that. And we've already started to see some people sign up for that race. And, our friends over at You Run You are helping us with some of our finisher awards for the races that we're having. We just had the Tick. That race was very successful. I could see a lot of things good happening with that race too. We're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, and John, congratulations.
Thanks, man. Yeah, wouldn't do it again today. But give me a few months, and maybe my mind will change.
Heck yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah, me too, man.
Yep.
I'm already ready. I'm coming down to pace someone else this weekend. So I'm already itching to get back on those trails.
See you in the wintertime. I'm thinking between Christmas and New Year's would be a good time to do that. So
Nah, it's too cold, Mark.
we'll let you. No, it's not.
Oh,
That's
it's
a
too
good
cold.
time.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're crazy. All of you are crazy.
Y'all have a nice trip. See you next fall.
What?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna
Thanks,
go to
guys.
bed.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Joe Miller. Thanks, Papa Joe. Good job, Chris.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Absolutely.
Welcome to the Florida Trail Runners Podcast. Out in the woods, out in the swamps, down by ride with a Gucci. It started with a podcast, that's the thing. The Florida Trail Runners, I see the skunk ape, chasing me down, chasing me down. I'm doing the long haul, running all over town, A station to A station, I see the skunk ape, chasing me down. I'm doing the long haul, running all over town, Starting in the north, Tallahassee. Starting Central Florida, Tampa, Ocala, Orlando, Day City. Green Swamp, headed down south. Headed to the Keys, lake to ocean. Miami, out to the East Coast, Daytona, Jacksonville, Pioneer Trail. On a single trail, running 1 to 100 miles. A station to A station, all around. The Florida Trail Runner. Feet hit dirt where the palm trees sway. Mossy oaks, palmetto, pines, and cypress knees. Sawgrass bending, go find your way. Swarm mist rising, every step I take, I feel it flow. Beach sunrises, beach sunsets, sugar sand all around. From the Swanee River to the St. Johns, from Crystal River and the Rainbow Springs. Wiki, Wachi, and Manatee.